What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a video that I decided to make. It's a pretty unique type of video. I think it's pretty, it's a pretty different type of video than what I usually put on the channel. Today, I'm going to be predicting the NFL 2020 to 2021 season. Now it is starting on, the first ever game happens on September 10th. And the actual Sunday where it shows off all the games is like September 13th, and I'm recording this on August 26, 2020. So what I'm basically doing, I'm basically predicting, stuff, it's in the title of the video. I was planning on doing it last year, but I never got around to doing it. And well, as you can see, I am a huge Steelers fan, huge Pittsburgh fan in general. You can tell by everything in the background of my shirt. Since I'm basically, a huge Pittsburgh fan in general, I'm gonna try and be unbiased as possible, okay? If this was a biased review, I'd just give the Steelers like 16-0 and then win the Super Bowl. Come on, I ain't like that. I'm gonna try and be realistic, and we're gonna get started. We're gonna start it off by north to south. That's basically what I'm doing. So we're going to start off with the AFC since that's where the Steelers are. We're going to get the Steelers over with. Now the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have a pretty good overall team. Their defense, I expect it to be as consistent as last year. And I expect the offense to be pretty good. We went 8-8 with a backup QB, with a second string and a third string backup QB. And since Ben Roethlisberger, the starting QB, is back, we should at least do some more action. So my prediction, 10-6. Okay? 10-6. That's the record. And now for Baltimore, they're the one with the Lamar Jackson guy. Now we're going to assume Lamar's still healthy. My original prediction when I was making this is that Lamar, he's going to tear his ACL by like week 3. And then the Ravens going to miss the playoffs. Because, people are comparing Lamar Jackson to Michael Vick. And I was thinking that the Lamar Jackson is going to suffer from the Madden curse. Because, when Michael Vick got on the cover of Madden, the next season he, tore his ACL. But if we're assuming Lamar is still good, then I expect them to go 10-6 as well. And, well, basically, their defense, still pretty consistent. And their offense, still pretty powerful, even with Lamar Jackson basically a cheat code IRL. Next up, we got the Cleveland Browns. Now, surprisingly enough, I actually think they're going to do pretty decent. Not, making the playoffs decent, but not, pretty trash, But, basically, I expect them to go 8-8. I expect them to improve from last year, because last year they had they basically had everybody they needed. It's just that their coach was ass. But I expect them to improve and go 8-8, and maybe hopefully by 2021 they can probably make the playoffs finally. Who knows? Can they prove me out wrong this season? Probably, because even though I am a Steelers fan, as you can see, I want the Browns to succeed, because even though I love seeing them just fail over and over, because it's funny, it's also kind of sad, because it's just getting tiresome at this point. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals. Now they do got that Joe Burrow guy, but they still got no O-linemen. Their defense is still subpar, and their offense, they got AJ Green, but other than that, they basically got no one else. And they also got Joe Mixon. He's all right, but again, they got no O-linemen. The defense is not really good. But they aren't going to be the worst team overall this year. I expect them to go 5-11. Next up, the AFC South. Now, here's how I'm going to predict it. Oh, by the way, before I go to there, I'm going to say who makes the playoffs according to this website I'm using. So, according to the AFC North, it says that the Ravens are going to win the division 10-6. And Pittsburgh's going to win the division and not win the division. They're going to tie the division 10-6. And it says Baltimore and Pittsburgh are supposed to make the playoffs. Next up, we got the Tennessee Titans. Now, the Tennessee Titans, every other year, every year since, I think 2016, they've been going 9-7. So, basically, what I predict they'll go is that they'll go 9-7 again. Now they do have a pretty good. Now their defense is pretty decent, and their offense is shown to be pretty good. And what I mean by that is that Ryan Tannehill seems like, he's improved a lot. And Derrick Henry, he proves that he is the real deal. And they do have some pretty good wide receivers. I don't know the ones that I can name off the top of my head, but I do know that they got some pretty good ones. So I expect them to go 9-7 again because it's the Titans, so yeah. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts. Even though they do got Phillip Rivers, I still don't expect them to, do a whole lot of much. I expect them to go at least 7-9. That's my prediction. Next up, the Houston Texans. Now, they did got rid of their star wide receiver. I don't know why. It's just they did. So they did, and honestly, though, their offense, they aren't as spectacular as last year, but it's still kind of decent. And the defense is still kind of, it's still pretty good, but it's not good enough. But I predict they'll go 6-10. That's my prediction. Next up, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Nobody wants to be on this team. They're only good players like Gardner Minshew and C.J. Anderson. And I predict that this team is going to go 5-11. So that's my prediction. Next up for the AFC East, we got the Buffalo Bills. How do I think they are going to do? They do got Josh Allen. They do got Stephon Diggs. They do got Josh. Wait, no, is Josh? Nah, I'm thinking of the defensive player Josh Allen. I don't know if he's on the team. I don't know. I'm just naming this off the top of my head. But the Bills, they did pretty good last year, and I expect them to do pretty good this year. So I expect them to go 9-7. Next up, we got the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots, they got rid of Tom Brady. Nah, they didn't get rid of Tom Brady, but Tom Brady basically, he went bye-bye. That's what Tom Brady did. And they did pick up Cam Newton. And Cam Newton, he hasn't been as productive as his 2015 days, but I still expect the Patriots to be a monster because of the Patriots. And I expect the Patriots to still make the playoffs, according to this website. So according to the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills and New England Patriots are the ones that are supposed to make the playoffs. By the way, the New York Jets, it's the Jets. They're going 6-10 again. Plus, they got rid of Jamal Adams, so yeah. Miami Dolphins, they're still kind of in the rebuilding phase, even though they do got Tua Tagovailoa and those other people in the draft. I still expect them to do kind of alright, but, ain't playoff team caliber, but not as bad as last year. I expect them to go 6-10. Next up, we got the AFC West, the final one in the division. Now, who do I think is gonna win it? It's the Chiefs. That's who I think. The Chiefs, I expect them to go 11-5. Patrick Mahomes is still a beast. They got no cap room at all, but yet they still managed to re-sign teams. They got a good receiving core. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Sammy Watkins. They're gonna be balling this year. I'm going to make sure I draft them in my fantasy draft this year. But in their defense, Chris Jones, I think that's his name. I probably fucked it up. But, their defensive tackle, that really good one, I expect them to ball out this year. And I expect the Chiefs to go 11-5. Now, fun fact, even though they are 11-5, according to the playoff thing, they are supposed to be number one in the whole conference. So that means Kansas City, once the playoffs comes, they'll get that bye. Next up, we got the Las Vegas Raiders. It still kind of feels weird to say the Las Vegas Raiders instead of the Oakland Raiders. But the Raiders, they're in Vegas, baby. So now, what do I think the Raiders are going to do? Well, I think the Raiders, I think they'll do pretty, I think they'll do pretty good. I think they'll at least sneak into the playoffs. According to the website, it's supposed to be the 7th seed. Their offense, they got Henry Ruggs the 3rd. And Derek Carr, I expect him to ball out, this year, like in his 2016 days. And the defense, it's actually somewhat decent. So, 9-7, they're making the playoffs. Next up, the Denver Broncos. Even though they do got Jerry Jeudy and Drew Lock, I don't expect them to make the playoffs. I expect them to go at least 8-8. And that's basically my prediction. Drew Lock, everyone's hyping up, but in my opinion, I kind of find him a bit overrated. Now, do I think he's actually gonna like do good? Yes, but will he carry the team to the playoffs? Probably not, if we're being honest. So I think the Denver Broncos, they're gonna go 8-8, but I predict by 2021 they'll at least make the playoffs. Next up, we got the LA Chargers. Even though they do got Justin Herbert, I don't expect them to do good this year. I'm sorry. Like Justin Herbert, he'll go through those like woes of a rookie. You know, he really won't be doing good in his rookie season. That's what I'm predicting. And his defense, you know, really ain't that good. So I do think they're gonna go 4-12, and that's my prediction for the AFC conference. Next up in the NFC, we got the NFC North. We got the Green Bay Packers. They got Aaron Rodgers. They also drafted Jordan Love, so in case Aaron Rodgers somehow goes down, they got Jordan Love to deal with. You know, their defense is pretty decent. Their offense, besides Aaron Rodgers, is kind of alright, so I predict them to go 9-7. Next up, the Chicago Bears. They got Mr. Nick Foles and Mitchell Trubisky. They got a quarterback situation. You know, it's not really the best, but they do got Big Dick Nick and Mitchell Trubisky. But, you know, who will actually start? I don't know. I feel like it'll be like, you know, the Mason Rudolph and Delvin Hodge situation, like with the Steelers last year. You know, they'll put in like Nick Foles, but once he does trash, they'll just put in like Mitchell Trubisky. You know, or if Mitchell Trubisky does trash, they'll put in Nick Foles. One of the another. But whoever wins, you know, I expect them to go at least 8-8 again, like last year. So that's my prediction. Next up, the Minnesota Vikings. I think they'll do pretty alright, but, you know, not good enough. I feel like they're going to go 8-8. Their defense is kind of and their offense is just, you know, pretty alright. So I expect them to miss the playoffs at 8-8. Next up, the Detroit Lions. At 6-10, that's my prediction. 6-10, because it's the Lions. They're going to fuck up. But the Lions, they ain't going to do bad as last year. Matthew Stafford, he's coming back, but I don't think he'll be as dominant as his, let's say, 2012 days. I think that's the year they made the playoffs. We're gonna assume. But you know, Lions, they were pretty. You know, they did pretty trash last year because Matthew Stafford died, and now they had to deal with a guy named I don't even remember his name, but they had to deal with a rookie undrafted quarterback, and he didn't really do excellent. But the Lions, I expect them to go 6-10. And like one of the matches I think they'll win is that. Let me look at this. I expect them to win a Week 4 matchup against the Saints because I don't know. I feel like that's what their Lions are gonna do. They're probably gonna upset the Saints, but other than that, Saints, the Lions seasons is gonna be nothing special. Just 6-10. Next up, we got the NFC South. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're the one with Tom Brady. They got the one with everyone else. They got Mike Evans. They got Rob Gronkowski. They got fucking Tom Brady. I know every other player, but I can't name them off the top of my head. But, you know, I am a Tampa native, so I can say the Bucs, they're making the playoffs again this season. But at what record? Now, I feel like Tom Brady, he's going to ball off like he did for, like, basically the past decade. Rob Gronkowski, I expect him to play like he did in his final season with the Patriots. And I expect the offense to ball out, and I expect the defense to also do pretty good. So I do think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going 12-4. That is my prediction. So also according to the website, it says that the Tampa Bay Bucs, their 12-4 season is supposed to be the best in the whole league, and they get the number one conference. Then they get the number one seed for the conference. Next up, the New Orleans Saints. They are pretty good. They're the Saints. They're gonna go in my prediction 11-5. Their defense is pretty good. Their offense is still as good as last year. So I do think that the Saints are going 11-5 and making the playoffs. Next up, we got the Atlanta Falcons. You know, I expect them to play just like last year. They're gonna do pretty So I expect them to play 7-9. You know, Matt Ryan, he's kind of falling off, but at the same time, he's doing pretty consistent. So that's my prediction. Next up, we got the Carolina Panthers now. The Carolina Panthers, I expect them to go 6-10. That's my prediction. But the Carolina Panthers, even though they do got that Christian McCaffrey guy and that Teddy Bridgewater guy, they got no one else on offense, and their defense is looking pretty not good to say the least. So I expect them to go 6-10. And that's going to be it for the NFC South. I expect the Bucs and the Saints to make the playoffs. Next up, we got the NFC East. This is a bit of a tricky situation. I expect the Dallas Cowboys, Washington Football Team, Philadelphia Eagles, and New York Giants. I expect all of them to go 8-8. That's my prediction. Yes, that is a bit of a wild prediction, but I expect the NFC East is like the worst division in the whole league. So I expect them to go. So I expect the Dallas Cowboys to win the division and make the playoffs. Now that's what according to the website says. If I made the prediction, I probably would have picked like a random team. But according to the website, it says that the Dallas Cowboys are supposed to take the division, and where the division is all tied. Now, for the final division, it's the NFC West. Now, the NFC West, it is, in my opinion, the toughest division out of them all, because every team is a playoff caliber team. So here's my prediction for it all. The San Francisco 49ers. I expect them to win the division 10-6. You know, Jimmy Garoppolo, he's pretty good. Their running backs, you know, they basically kind of carry them. But, you know what else carried the Niners? The defense. That's what carried them. And in my prediction, the Niners, they're going to go 10-6. Not as good as last year, but they're still going to win not the conference, but they're still going to win the division. Next up, the Seattle Seahawks. I rank them as 9-7. Now, I know that's a bit of a low standard. You know, that's setting the bar low, but I still expect them to make the playoffs at 9-7. And Russell Wilson, he's still doing pretty good. Chris Carson, I expect them to do pretty good. And I expect DK Metcalf to absolutely explode this year. And their defense is looking, it's looking amazing, man. They got Jamal Adams too. And like their defense, you know, it's looking pretty good. So I expect the Seahawks, you know, I don't expect them to do amazing, but I expect them to go 9-7. Next up, we got the LA Rams. I expect them to go 9-7. And, you know, Jared Goff, he's probably going to prove all the haters wrong and try and come back this year, but he won't win the division, but he's going to try and prove all the haters wrong. You know, Aaron Donald, he's probably going to win, like, Defensive Player of the Year or something. That's my prediction. But, you know, Aaron Donald, he's supposed to be a beast. And Jared Goff, he's trying to try and prove everyone wrong. But they did lose their star running back, Todd Gurley III. So I do have to give the LA Rams a 9-7 record. And last but certainly not least, we got the Arizona Cardinals at 7-9. You know, they got everyone they need on offense. Larry Fitzgerald, Deshaun Watson, Kyle Murray. You know, their defense is looking pretty trash. Like, they just got Isaiah Thomas, but besides Isaiah Thomas and Patrick Peterson, they got no one else on defense. So even though I like the Cardinals, I don't feel like they're going to win a whole lot this year. Like, I just feel like this is going to be last year where the Cardinals are bad. Then in 2021, they're going to make the playoffs. That's my prediction, as the Cardinals are going 7-9. And for the NFC West, I expect the playoffs to be the San Francisco 49ers, the Seattle Seahawks, and the LA Rams. That's according to the website. Next up, playoff time. Now, this is the first every year with the brand new playoff rules where now, instead of going up to 6 seeds, we got 7 seeds. And there's also 17 games in the season, which I just now realized. So that's fun. So, wait, is there... I don't know here. But, anyway, right now, here's my prediction. The number 1 seed, the one that get the bye, is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, here's the playoffs. Here's the wild card. The Raiders versus Ravens. The Patriots versus Bills. The Steelers versus Titans. The Rams versus 49ers. The Packers versus Seahawks. And the Cowboys versus Saints. Let's start it off. Alright, for the Raiders, you know, I feel like the Raiders are going to beat the Ravens. Now, hold me out here. The Ravens, now Lamar Jackson, ever since he entered the playoffs, he went He went 0-2 in the playoffs. And now I feel like it's going to be the same here. They're going to lose again to the Raiders, and probably unfortunate unluckiness to the Raiders. So I feel like the Raiders are going to beat the Ravens in an upset fashion. Next up, Patriots versus Bills. I feel like for this matchup, the Bills, I feel like they're going to win their first playoff game since 1995. I think that's when it was. But I feel like for this one, they're finally going to win their first playoff game since the 1990s. So that's my prediction for the Bills versus Patriots. Next up, Steelers versus Titans. I feel like the Steelers are going to win. They have the better offense. They have the better defense. Even though I feel like for this one, it's going to be a back and forth matchup. It's going to be a battle to the end. And I feel like the Steelers are going to come out on top. Next up, we got the Rams versus Niners. Even though the Rams, they are pretty decent, I feel like they ain't Super Bowl caliber teams. Niners, they're going to probably blow them out by like 2 touchdowns at least. So that's my prediction. The Niners beat the Rams. Next up, we got the Packers Seahawks. I feel like it's going to be just like last year. The Packers going to win in some extraordinary luck. So that's my prediction for that one. Next up, Cowboys Saints. Now, everyone says, I've been noticing a lot of playoff predictions. They always think that the Saints are going to win it all. Now, apparently, what they don't realize is that for like the past couple years, when the Saints made the playoffs, they always lose on extraordinary luck from the other team. So I feel like for this one, the Cowboys versus Saints, the Cowboys are beating the Saints. Even though I don't like the Cowboys in general, that's what's gonna happen. The Saints are gonna choke some way or another. But anyway, now for the Divisionals. Now the Chiefs, they get to play their first playoff game against their division rivals, the Raiders. Now who do I personally think is gonna win? I personally think the Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to beat the not the Oakland Raiders. They're going to beat the Las Vegas Raiders to go to the conference finals. That's my prediction. Next up, we got the Bills versus Steelers. This one was kind of a tough one because Steelers, they're known for playing down to the competition. But, hopefully, in my personal opinion, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to beat the Bills by like a field goal. It's going to be another back and forth battle. But I feel like the Steelers are going to come out on top. And it's going to be a very offensive battle from there. Next up, we got the 49ers versus Packers. Now, I feel like the 49ers, they are going to beat the Green Bay Packers just like they did last year in the NFC Championship. And they're going to do it again in the Divisionals. So that's my prediction. Next up, we got the Cowboys versus Buccaneers. Now, this is the Buccaneers' first playoff game they play. And it's in the Divisionals. And in my personal opinion, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they are going to beat the Cowboys. Of course they would, because the Cowboys only won 3 playoff games in the last 25 years. So that's my prediction. The Bucs, they're going to the conference championship with the Niners. Now, the conference championship, the Chiefs versus Steelers. And now, y'all expected me to say that the Steelers are going to the Super Bowl and win it. But in my personal opinion, even though I am a huge Steelers fan, I feel like the Steelers are going to lose to the Chiefs by like a touchdown. That's my prediction. I feel like they're going to lose by at least 5 points. That is my personal prediction. The Chiefs are going to beat the Steelers in the AFC Championship. And the Chiefs are going to go to their 2nd Super Bowl in a row. So that's my personal opinion. Next up, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Niners in the NFC Championship. Now, who do I personally think is going to win? I personally think the Bucs, they're going to win by a field goal. And that's my personal opinion. Because, honestly, though, it's going to be a pretty back and forth battle. But the Bucs, I feel like they're going to win in overtime by a field goal. So that's my prediction. Now the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is going to be Super Bowl 55. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who is winning? Now, in my personal opinion, I feel like the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be your 2021 Super Bowl champions. That is my prediction right here. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to beat the Tampa Bay Bucs to become back-to-back Super Bowl champions. That's my prediction. Now, before we end off today's video, I kind of want to go over the draft order. And, according to this, it also predicts the draft. So, Now, it does not account into trades, so I don't know any of these trades, but we're assuming based off if nobody trades. Number 10 is the Cardinals, 9 is the Colts, 8 is the Panthers, 7 is the Jets, 6 the Lions, 5 is the Texans, 4 is the Dolphins, 3 is the Bengals, 2 is the Jaguars, and number 1 the Chargers. That's the draft order according to the website. So according to the website, the top 3 draft picks should be, number 3 the Bengals, going from 1 to number 3. Number 2 should be the Jacksonville Jaguars, because they're probably going to tank this year, probably for Trevor Lawrence. And number 1 is going to be the Chargers. Now, who do I think the Chargers are going to pick? Since they already drafted Justin Herbert, I feel like they wouldn't draft Trevor Lawrence. They're probably going to draft like a defensive player, probably. And for the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're probably going to draft like Trevor Lawrence or some shit. So, that's my personal prediction for the 2020 to 2021 NFL season, if it doesn't get canceled by Corona. Now, that is my honest prediction. Thank you all so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.